I forgot something. So, we have to talk about the multiplication rule for independent events. It's actually important. The rule says, if two events, A and B, are independent, then the probability of B given A will be the same as just the probability of B, meaning the probability of event B won't depend on the probability of A. Therefore, events A and B are independent if and only if the probability of A and B occurring equals the probability of A times the probability of B. Now, I want to emphasize this if and only if statement. What this means is that this formula goes both ways, right? I mean, obviously, if you're trying to find the probability of A and B, and you know they are independent, then you can multiply A times B. But also, what this means is that if you multiply A times B, and it equals the probability of A and B, then you know events A and B are independent. This means you can actually use this rule to check to see if two events are independent. All you have to do is find the probability of A, the probability of B, and then the probability of A and B. If the probability of A times the probability of B equals the probability of A and B, then A and B are independent events. If not, then they're not independent. Let's use this same table as an example, right? So, maybe I want to find, or I want to check to see if the school that they're in versus the grade level are independent of one another. I want to know if there is independence between what school they're in and what grade they got. So what I can do is I can pick a school and I can pick a grade level and I can use these formulas to test that theory. So let's pick a school. Let's pick Health and Human Services and a B, right? So I want to check. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, A equals the probability that they are a Health and Human Services student. B is the probability that they received an A. So the probability of A is 2,100 over 10,000. The probability of B, in this case, which is making an A, is 3,392 over 10,000. And then all I have to do is see if that is equal to 882 over 10,000. If those two numbers multiplied together equal 882 over 10,000, which of course is the probability of A and B in this case, then they're independent events. If it doesn't, even if it's off by a little bit, then they're not independent. One depends on the other. So, a little bit of math. Alright, so I see from this that the probability of A times the probability of B is 0.071 or 7.1%. However, the probability of A and B in this case is 0.0882 or 8.8% or 9%. So it is close, but it's not the same. So we cannot say that these two events are independent. Your grade in this case does depend on your school of choice, or vice versa. Anyway, sorry I forgot to put that in there at the beginning or in the first round, but now it's there. Now you have it. So you can use this rule to check to see if things are independent.